Film with family. Film with family. Film with family.
I'm a Homeward Bound guy.
I mean, it's really hard to estimate the weight of nostalgia because if I had never seen this movie and watched it, I can't even imagine what that experience would be like. But I would say it's like, even though, it wouldn't have the same appeal, obviously, since like I have childhood memories with it, but it doesn't have any of the hokey. This is like far before like animated mouth moving animal movies
Yeah.
became. So it's like it's all, at least, even though it's like at the cost of pain and suffering, it's authentic. It's like you're not
Mhm.
getting some Disneyified crap. I really have never enjoyed any movie where they animate the mouth of the animal to.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later on in our series, but we'll get
Air
into some
Bud.
we'll get into some movies that do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice
Sometimes it's fun.
to start off our series. Both of these films don't do the mouth moving animal thing,
Yeah.
which that's an important connection point for these two films for sure.
I think so too. Yeah. But yeah, going back to The Incredible Journey, I think you guys should watch it just because I think it has the same kind of aesthetic as Milo and Otis in that it's just these animals kind of wandering around in the forest. It's very similar to Homeward Bound, but it's got a little bit more of a,
Are
I don't
there
know, kind
people
of.
in it?
Yes. So it's got this more, I don't know, fanciful, almost fairy tale type story. Like there's a character in Incredible Journey who's this hermit named Jeremy, and he has like a pet crow that like sits on top of his head. He's kind of like this like wacky character that apparently has dementia and invites the two cats and the dog into his house for dinner, thinking that they're humans.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild scene. I think so in Homeward Bound, there's the guy who saves Sassy. He's like the birder.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of that movie is that character.
Yeah, so he's kind of a uh he's I think their version. He is the Jeremy Hermit character in Homeward Bound, basically. Yeah, I really enjoyed watching Incredible Journey. It was just like a very wholesome movie. But
I
again,
feel like I did watch it at some point, but it definitely wasn't in rotation.
so there's one different dynamic in Incredible Journey from Homeward Bound where the um the bull terrier named Bodger in Incredible Journey is actually the old dog. He's the wizened older dog, even though he looks younger than the Labrador Retriever named Leo. And then there's
Hmm.
a Siamese cat named Teo. And it follows pretty much the same storyline as Homeward Bound, where like there's a note that's written and it gets like the cat actually like walks over it and it falls into the fire. And then this housekeeper comes and she's like, "Oh, he must have left with the animals." And there is a bear fight in Incredible Journey as well, and baby bears. And there's a very harrowing bridge crossing where they almost fall to their deaths. Um, and but there's one scene in particular. I was trying to find the clip of it, but I couldn't find it, where the bull terrier like goes into some guy's backyard, and everybody in this movie is a hunter. Like the guy leaves for a duck hunt, like the main guy leaves for a duck hunt. Like they keep running into people who are like out hunting in the forest. But he was like sneaking into the trash of some guy's trash can, and he knocks it over, and then the guy like comes out with a gun and like just straight up like fires buckshot at the trash can, and then the bull terrier like runs out, and the narration is like, Being shot at was something new for the old terrier, sort of shook his faith in human nature. But yeah, there's a lot of really funny little moments in that. But it follows pretty closely the story of Homeward Bound. So
You're saying it's better than Homeward Bound.
I'm not.
We have you
Okay.
on record saying that it's better than Homeward Bound.
I'm getting the vibe that you like this better than Homeward Bound, is what I'm hearing.
I don't. I don't. I did not cry or feel anything emotional in Incredible Journey, whereas Homeward Bound is very emotional. Um,
Yeah.
I watched it today with my friend, and they have a dog, and the entire she had never seen it, and she was like, "What is this? Why are they doing this?" Like every step of Homeward Bound, she was like, I can't watch this. This is too much." Like she was like overwhelmed.
Even at the
But
beginning when they haven't even gone on the adventure yet, it's like, Chance's eating wedding cake? What is this?
he's tearing up that blouse. What's wrong with him? Uh,
Sassy's got shrimp cocktail. Are you kidding me?
You
no,
can't do that.
but like when they get caught and the families knows that where they are and then they escape again, she was like, I can't, why no, stay. And then of course there were tears shed at the end with that incredible final scene. But how do you guys feel about how Homeward Bound in general?
Yeah, as I said, that we had this movie on VHS, so it was part of the rotation.
Hmm.
And yeah, definitely watched it a lot. Definitely there's still a lot of nostalgia for this movie too. Definitely a tearful ending. Yeah, rewatching it, I definitely got teary-eyed at the end. I feel like the ending is kind of like the master stroke of this film.
Hmm.
But there is a lot of fun to be had along the way. I really like Michael J. Fox's performance as Chance. He kind of kills it on the mic.
Yeah.
He's like he's reacting really well to like the action of the dog. Like anytime Chance does like a yelp, like he like kind of like pitches up his voice or
Hmm.
like is really reacting to the footage in a good way.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, as mentioned, Sally Field does a great cat. It's like she's kind of like a snooty, very thinks very high of herself kind of cat. Yeah, very distinct personalities. Shadow, he's very much like I love Peter, which is kind of cracking
Yes.
me up on this watch. Just like I love you so much, just like this old man voice, like saying how much he loves this little boy. It's just so funny to me.
Yeah, I was looking into that guy who does the voice. His name is Don Amici. He was like an old actor from the 30s, and this was technically his second to last film ever made. Next to I think like Harry and the Hendersons. He's in Harry and the Hendersons,
Yeah,
and
they recast him for the sequel, which I actually watched Homeward Bound 2 in preparation for this episode. So, but he gets recast.
he does
I
not
didn't know there was
actually.
a two.
Actually, Shadow is voiced by a guy named Ralph Waite because Don Amici died the year that Homeward Bound came out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He got recast.
Oh, recast. I thought you
What do you
meant
think?
recast, like cast again.
No, I was saying
No.
like they recast the role. He doesn't voice him in the second movie.
It's like the Oracle from the Matrix.
Yeah, that was
Um,
more devastating.
but I definitely have a way bigger nostalgic connection to Homeward Bound. I remember I caught it in a hotel room, like just like halfway in, and just pulled me in. It was like one of those movies where it just like pulled me in, and I watched all the way to the end, and I was like, man, this movie holds up so well. It's just beat for beat is a really solid narrative, I feel, and just keeps you pulled in. It's just one of these classic 90s family films. And I really love, yeah, like all of the voiceover performances are so strong. All of the animal acting is amazing. And one scene really stood out to me that I'll play is when Shadow gives Chance this speech about
Yeah.
what it means to be a dog and to be loyal. And it's just so, Zach, you were talking about the cinematography in Milo and Otis. I feel like this is a gorgeous shot of Shadow. It's just he looks so noble and he's just like so perfectly lit in like the golden sunlight
Well,
and
is this kind of
words
like a
whisper.
night scene, kind of, or
It's like sunset.
okay? Is this after like Sassy's like presumed dead?
Yes. And they're
Yeah.
like kind of sitting at the side of the river, kind of waiting for her.
Yeah, I really forgot how long the movie plays with like you think that she's actually dead, which is
Hmm.
pretty devastating for a children's movie. It's like this cat just got washed away in a raging river.
I shouldn't have made her come,
It's not your fault. She wanted to come.
but it's my responsibility. I had a responsibility to Sassy, to love her and protect her, the same as I have to you and to Peter, and the same as you have to Jamie.
But we didn't ask for this job.
We didn't have to. It's built in. Has been ever since the dawn of time, when a few wild dogs took it upon themselves to watch over man, to bark when he's in danger, to run and play with him when he's happy, to nuzzle him when he's lonely. That's why they call us man's best friend.
Looking at him that night, he seemed so wise and ancient. Like the first dog that ever walked the earth. And I just hope that one day I could be like him.
That beautiful shot of him just
Yeah,
his
just looking
nose
ahead.
up, looking ahead is just so noble.
He seems so wise.
I think it really highlights the power of the soundtrack. The main theme for like
Mm.
it's actually reminds me a lot of Michael Kamen's Prince of Thieves soundtrack, at least in terms of the instrumentation.
The
Yeah, it's got a
melody of
very,
it.
it's got like a John Williams feel to it. It's very strong soundtrack. Just
Yeah.
the second you hear it, if you've seen this movie already, like it just takes you to that final scene
It's
right
emotional
away.
swell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I guess we don't really need to do a plot bop. I'm assuming that a lot of people have seen this movie already, but my question, this is the thing that I was clocking today when I was watching it. Is Shadow a good leader?
That's a good question. It's a good question. We were debating about that while we were watching it too, because in the beginning, I was like, he's like a dumb Gandalf,
Yeah.
and then right as I said that, he started making some strategic moves that it's like, oh, he's actually kind of smart. He like led the puma into that trap.
The catapult.
Probably the biggest suspension of disbelief moment of the movie is not just like
weight of
conceptually, but
it.
also the actual like fake puma going off of the thing.
so
It looks
funny.
super fake.
It's very
And the
funny.
physics of it, like I'm pretty sure
It's a simple
that
question of
doesn't
weight
pan out.
ratios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to say. I think he's a great leader in terms of like morale and like you believe in the quest, even if like no one knows what exactly is going to happen. It's like he's like at the end of the day, we're loyal and true, and you'll follow a coach like that to the end, even if they might not be, you know, putting you at ease with like what's the outcome of this. Just like it doesn't matter, we're fucking dogs. And Sassy's a cat, but whatever, we're pets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing was a mistake, if you ask me. They should have stayed put. It was his idea to leave.
Yeah, that's fucking true. It's all his fault.
Chance and Sassy were content to wait it out. He was like, "We gotta fucking go. Peter misses me." And so it's all his fucking fault. He should feel guilty he should have Sassy's guilt on his conscience. She fucking died because of him, even though luckily she didn't. But Shadow fucked up.
He's got
He
blood
really
on his
did.
paws.
Yeah, he shouldn't. He's got blood on his paws. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. When we were watching it today, when he hops on that stump over the fence, it's just like, no, Shadow, no, bad dog, bad dog.
Then you
And
don't have a
then
movie.
and then
No
like he
movie.
leads them into the rapids too, which is where Sassy, uh,
Drowns, basically.
drowns. Although Sassy was going her own way, Shadow was like, this will be a good place to go. It's shallow over here. And then she decided to go a little further out because she didn't want to get in the water, but obviously that backfired. But
Yeah, it is
this,
funny. The poster image for this movie is all three of them riding a log down a rapid, which never happens. It's like a little
Yeah.
cartoon.
Well, that's the
I
thing
was
too.
looking
So
at it.
this movie, Incredible Journey, and Milo and Otis all have a cat in rapids. Like
Mhm.
that all look very just not safe for
I think
these
just
cats.
as a society, we just decided that was okay. It's like cats can handle it.
And we
Well,
run the
They got
scientific
9
experiment.
lives.
They don't
Well,
go
yeah.
together.
Well, Homeward Bound, apparently they did have a fake cat in the river for like those wide shots, and then there's that one close-up shot of the cat like, and I think that was a real cat, but just like he was safe. No animals were injured in Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey, apparently.
Prove it.
Um, um,
You're gonna lay the
But,
hammer down Milo and Otis. We're gonna take it at brass tacks on fucking Homeward Bound. I
Look
want
it up,
evidence.
baby. Look it up. All right, here. I'll read the Wikipedia. The film makes extensive use of animal actors. American Humane certified the film was not harming animals. Animals were largely filmed separately to prevent conflict. The scenes were cut together to create the illusion of the animals interacting. Stand-in animals were also used for the main characters, with 10 cats playing the role of Sassy.
There had to have been a lot of chances too, because the eye makeup
There were.
varies drastically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
the
you
little
mean his
black
eye?
ring around his eye. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like there's one shadow where he's got like deep black grooves like on his like coming out of his eyes.
I felt like that was like makeup. Like they put some like soot on there to make it look like the wariness of the travel is.
Yeah, that's near the end of the film. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
around the part where Shadow goes in the mud pit, that's a pretty brutal
Mhm.
scene. Also a scene of Milo being in a deep pit like that, but not doesn't look quite as bleak, but just two animals in pit scenes.
Yeah.
Connect that. We're
Um,
making
well,
connections here.
well, this is the thing is not to jump ahead, but so Shadow falls into the hole and then Chance comes down after him to try to like give him the moral support to get out of the hole. Crossfade to the house, and then all of a sudden they are home. They just
Yeah.
like yada 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 how they got out of the pit.
Yeah, it would be too tough to film that, I suppose.
But I mean, like,
But
they
I
didn't
think it's
even-
the only way to do it in retrospect. It's like this solves the problem, and it's like, how do you make this surprising and uplifting? And I think it's a great move. Pays off.
Yeah, I mean, the ending. I mean, when you first see it, you're like, oh well, Shadow's definitely dead, and then
Yep.
him coming over the hill is just a barn burner.
The kid even it's just like he's too fucking old. There's no way. He doesn't
Yeah.
even know what.
Yeah, he's so
Yeah.
pissed. Peter's like, he's too old. Like, Peter,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, first Chance, then Sassy, and then he's just waiting there for like a good minute. It's like, well, it seems like it would be Shadow's turn next. Then you just get that long wait.
Yeah.
And then he finally comes up over the ridge with a limp. The score going full bore.
Yeah.
Hard not to get a little teary there.
If you guys want to chat, I someone just rang my doorbell. I gotta head out I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Well, we got to talk more about Milo and Otis while he's gone.
Okay.
What about the scene when Milo's smacking that baby bird in the mouth?
Can hear its trachea getting twanged.
And then also Milo smacking that little crab or whatever. And then the crab pinches him.
And he smacks a snake too. That's
Yeah.
probably the most satisfying thing. It's like fucking smack that shit all day. Smack it hard. Get that shit out of
And
here.
they play like that Egyptian music when the snake's in the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about Milo and Otis again. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, so what do we think of the family in Homeward Bound? The three kids and the mom and the dad.
Well, the dad, Drew clocked it immediately. It's like, oh my God, that's the guy from Airplane.
It is.
And Drew's apparently a big Airplane fan. Robert Hayes. So that's kind of a funny. And also Gene Smart, Drew also clocked because he's a big
Yeah.
Hacks fan.
I'm a big Hacks fan as well.
He's a
Gene
big
Smart.
hackhead.
I'm a hackhead. Yeah, I was happy to see her. That was awesome. She does great as the person who takes care of the pets while the dad has to go to San Francisco for a geology job.
Yeah,
Like I was
kinda
like, when they cut to him like in his office, it's like Dr. Seaver, and then the background it's like geology or something like geologists or some. Yeah, so I was like, okay, I guess he had to go to San Francisco.
We just lost the geology crowd. Way to go.
He lost the colon crowd, now the geology crowd.
But he is such a beta in this movie.
Oh
And
my
the
God,
second
yeah.
movie.
Dude,
Yeah.
especially the biggest thing was like, really, how is this when the dogs and like all the animals escape from the pound after they just have to sit on them and wait for them to get back, and they all fuck up in a way that's like indescribable. And when they cut to the aftermath of the family being like they're all singing, ready to pick up the animals, and then they realize that they got away. He's just like, well, thanks. And it's just like, what? Thank you. You should be reaming these guys' assholes out right now. You fucked up the whole thing. Like, you had one job and you fucked it up. How could you be so shitty?
Well, in the
Fucking
very beginning too, the dad is talking to the son, and the son's like, "I don't want to leave the pets," and he's just like, "Yeah." Just like
Trails off.
He's just like, "Yeah, well, we're gonna do it anyways."
That's actually pretty accurate parenting moment. Man. I do that all the time.
Yeah, walk away.
Not to walk away, but it's just like when they come at you with something that's just so preposterous, like the amount of time it would take to break down the fallacy that they just brought up. It's just like, it's better to just let this kind of linger and wither away on the vine.
Like, yep, well, anyways, and then it just like
Something different that's not
another
that.
scene.
Yeah, it is interesting that he's such like a straight man character. Like, he's not really doing any jokes. Like, you think because he's like from Airplane that he'd be like a funny dad, but he just has this dumbass look on his face all the time, wide-eyed, and just doesn't
Well,
really
he is
know
kind
what
of
to
the
do.
straight man in Airplane, even though he is part of a lot of the gags, but he's supposed to be kind of the normal guy.
Yeah, it's big normal guy energy.
But the thing that's so funny in Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco, is they lose they lose them all again.
Yeah.
It's like,
So they lose him at the airport or something.
It's like Home Alone too.
it's just so funny because they make it
Fuck.
they're going to Canada. Oh, and that's the one thing I didn't say about The Incredible Journey is it's all filmed in Canada, not far from where we go where our cabin is in Lake Vernon, which is just like a 3-hour drive from our cabin in Ontario. So so if you watch Incredible Journey, the original from the 60s, there's some opening shots of like the landscape and it looks just like McGregor Bay. It's really cool.
That's
But
cool.
but I think as a little nod to that, in Lost in San Francisco, the family is going to travel to Canada and they want to bring the pets because the last time they left them, they had a
Bad.
incredible journey. But when they get to Canada and the pets don't show up, like they have to tell the kids that they lost them again. It's like, we don't know, kids. They're gone again. It's like, not again. So funny.
I feel like that movie should really just be the parents getting a divorce because they can't keep the pets in the house. It's like, well, in other
Yeah.
news,
Yeah. And this and Lost in San Francisco is very chance forward. He's definitely the main character of this one.
He raps in
And
it.
he does rap, Chance the Rapper. He's like, yo, I'm Rap Master Chance, and I'm lost in the city with an optimistic dog and a sarcastic kitty.
is that still Michael J. Fox?
Yeah. Everybody's
there's
back.
Sally Field's back. The whole family's back. Just
Mhm.
It's a cash
not
grab.
just not the shadow voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he does a pretty good imitation of Dom Mamichi, but
Yeah,
the
he
shadow
does.
voice is so iconic. Oh, Peter, I love you.
No, he says, "I love you so."
I love you so.
I think that his best line in the whole movie, I'm gonna fuck it up. Just like I didn't. When you're a kid watching this stuff, it's like it doesn't hit you like just how ridiculous some of the things they're saying. But he's just like, if he's over there and I'm over here, how am I supposed to be loyal, true, and faithful? It's just like he's like naming off his like three main things that he's all about. He's like, I can't do any of that shit over here.
They're like all like synonyms.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
thing I remember Drew was kind of pointing out when we were watching Homeward Bound is that all the animals that aren't the main trio in Homeward Bound don't have voices.
Yeah.
So they're just like feral animals that don't have personalities, and they're like, and it's like kind of weird. It's like this is been a good opportunity to have the bear have a funny character actor do a voice or something.
Yeah, which they do
It's more ominous.
in Milo and Otis. All the
and
animals have a voice.
and they do it in Homeward Bound too. Like
Yeah.
there's like a lot more dogs in it and a lot of other animals, and they all have voices and different characters. So I feel like that's a hang up. That's a negative a little
And
bit.
if you liked Strays, which came out last year with Jamie Foxx,
Haven't
you'll
seen it.
love Lost in San Francisco. It's very similar. I mean, like Strays is like an R-rated Homeward Bound 2,
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, Homeward Bound 2 is good. I enjoyed watching it. I have
Yeah,
the friend that argues that it's better than Homeward Bound 1, which I don't know if I'd go there, but there's definitely some qualities that are better about it. I feel like there's less family stuff, which that's the stuff that I feel like drags down Homeward Bound for me is like whenever they cut back to the family, like, oh, where are the pets? I'm like, I don't care. Just show me more animal shit.
I don't remember the sequel at all.
well, it was
Maybe you
not
never saw it.
popular. Yeah.
We definitely didn't have it on VHS, so
I didn't even know
feel
it
like we didn't watch
existed until I saw it on Disney Plus next to Homeward Bound 1.
I
Yeah.
feel like it would have to if is it set in the city?
Yeah.
Yeah, San Francisco,
Yeah.
baby.
I think it would be hard. Like the one thing that I noticed the most in rewatching Homeward Bound was that I couldn't appreciate. I think I just took it for granted as a kid. Is like every single shot in Homeward Bound. What do they call the guys that pick the site locations?
Location scout.
Yeah, like that there wasn't a single area that the animals were going through while they were traveling that it's like this is the most sort of beauteous, scenic,
Hmm.
collection of rocks and like just everything. The composition of all of the landscapes were just
Mm,
gorgeous and perfect
yeah.
lighting. And so like, watching the animals just kind of like go from point A to point B, you're like, damn, this is just scenic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those shots are gorgeous. Um, I think, yeah, Milo and Otis and this movie, they really shine in those scenes of just them traveling across these gorgeous, bucolic, like,
Nature.
environments. Yeah, nature. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Um,
And also just the visual of Sassy always trailing behind the dogs. Like she just looks like a cat that shouldn't be out in the wild with her big long hair, and she just looks so much like an indoor cat. And the fact
yeah.
that she's just like right behind these dogs, like going anywhere, like it's like, damn, this cat's cool as hell.
Yeah. In the first one in Incredible Journey, the cat is a male. And there's a lot more emphasis on the cat being like the hunter for the two dogs. So there's a lot more scenes of the cat fishing and like catching birds, and actually the dog catches a rabbit at some point. So there's a lot more kind of like hunting
Survival.
scenes, survival
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Milo goes fishing. We didn't talk about that scene with his tail, where a
Yeah.
fish bites his tail, which that definitely feels like something that was like set up by the crew. Like as much as the director makes it seem like, oh, we just filmed them do whatever they wanted to do. Like that was clearly like a setup kind of thing
Hmm.
that they did with like putting a fish on his tail.
Yeah. I thought it was
Anyway,
very creative, resourceful cat.
yeah, I kind of
Um,
like it.
there's a crazy. I did not remember that Homeward Bound, the reason that they find the pets is because there's a lost feral child in the woods that they come
Yeah.
across.
Yeah, I totally forgot that too.
I
Yeah.
completely blanked that out.
Memory hold it out.
That is such a wild turn when they're just like going through the woods, and then there's just like this like starving, scared child in the woods. Like, what the hell?
The reversal of that, it just shines that like from the pet's perspective, like they're not worried about themselves. Even when they're like some of them are on death's door, they're just like, if we don't watch out for these humans, they're fucked. We gotta like they don't know what they're doing without us. This kid doesn't know what it's doing. We'll save this kid. All right, you come with us.
You must be loyal and true and faithful.
There's no lost kid in Incredible Journey, the original.
No,
Yeah, that seems like a weird thing to add in, but
yeah,
yeah, I do like the whole thing with Chance is that like he's like a pound dog and he has like this trauma to him, like
yeah,
no, no, don't take me to the bad place, don't take me to the bad place.
yeah.
Like
That's they.
that stuff's
There's a
good.
lot. Yeah, there's a lot of emphasis on the bad place in the San Francisco one. He doesn't mention the bad place in Homeward Bound, the original, but
He does
in,
reference that he came from that, and like he's
yeah,
getting
yeah, he
like trauma
referenced it.
flashbacks when they go to like the vet or whatever.
But I feel like in Homeward Bound 2, when he says the bad place, it's necessary. It could also be just them being lost in the woods, like that bad place of them being like on their own.
It seemed pretty clear to me that it was like he's just like referencing like not trusting people when and
Hmm.
that the sort of imprisonment complex that he came from,
Yeah.
uh which is
There's a,
it creates a good tension because I feel like Sassy's kind of just looking out for herself and Shadow is kind of like to a fault just pro humanity and Shannon's like, yeah, I mean, I'm I'm interested in they did save my life, but they're also fucking evil sometimes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like I've seen shit. You guys have only known this this
I was on the
domestic life.
streets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, they definitely dip more back into that streets lifestyle in the second movie. But yeah, we do got to talk about the fact that Chance gets porcupined and he gets those quills in the face, which that's kind of tough to watch too. Like I don't know how
Yeah.
they got those quills in his face, but it doesn't look pleasant, and he has them for
No.
a long stretch of the film. So
Yeah.
that's tough to watch.
Yeah, they do the same thing in Incredible Journey. Um,
Porcupine.
yeah, and they're like in the exact same place to a point where it feels like they actually did like put some things inside the dog. Like I don't, yeah, it's weird. I don't know how you would keep that on there. So maybe I guess just some glue or whatever, but it does look like they've totally like embedded themselves into his face. It's hard to look at.
Yeah, they even have a scene where the vets are like pulling it out of his face, and it looks like they're really pulling something out of his face, which is like,
Yeah.
man, this is fucked up. I
Yeah,
know
it's really
Milo and
graphic.
Otis did a lot of fucked up stuff, but they didn't do that.
It's pretty graphic. Yeah, it was hard to watch.
Yeah.
Movie magic.
We love the movies.
And we
Movie
love our
magic.
family. Thanks for listening.
See you next month.
We should call it right there. Caleb, do you have any final thoughts, things we didn't talk about with the last for either of these movies?
If you're an adult and you haven't seen these movies, probably not, it's not required viewing. You probably aren't going to get as much out of it. Maybe kind of remember that era of movies, like, and the different feel that they had. If you have kids, or you are a kid, I think they are definitely required viewing because they're just really great in similar and distinct ways. And I think the way that we tackled them chronologically also works because I think if you're putting yourself in the role of the protagonist, then I feel like a really young kid can relate more to like Milo and Otis are basically like they go from baby to kid to I guess like early adult, and you kind of follow along, whereas it feels like a little bit more of a sophisticated kind of conversation that goes on with Chance and Shadow and Sassy because they all are different ages and have different perspectives and a little more decorative in that sense. But yeah, they work great together. They're a nice complement, and I mean, as far as animal movies go, I don't think especially pet oriented ones, it doesn't get much better.
Well, I'm just looking over my notes. It's funny. I only took notes on The Adventures of Chatran. It's out of all the movies I watched.
What are
I'm
your
finding
final
myself
thoughts on
light-handed.
Chatran?
Well, there's one thing I forgot to mention that's in Chatran that's upsetting.
Oh boy.
Let's tie it up with
Well, I guess I don't have to say it.
Yes, say it. You must.
Well, it's just like along with that cow scene of Otis almost getting trampled. There's also a scene of like a cow that just had given birth to a calf, and the calf is dead. Like it just gives birth to like a dead calf, and then you see all these crows swarming like a dead body.
What?
And like the narrator's like the mother cow has lost her baby so quickly. And
Oh
it's like
my God.
it's like a really bleak scene.
That
So
is
like
really
so like
bleak.
yeah, shit like that makes you feel like this wasn't like really made with like children in mind. It's just like a weird ass movie.
Yeesh.
But there was one funny narrated line from Adventures of Chatran I want to shout out. It's like Pooskie's introduction. He
Mhm.
says, Chatran is an urchin. Let me introduce his best friend, Pooski, a male pup. He's a clown. So you got Chatran, he's an urchin, and you got the clown.
Urchin
They
and a
do have
clown.
kind of that dynamic.
The movie really seems to look downly on Pooski. He's a fucking idiot.
Not to be
That's good.
taken literally, he's not really an urchin. He's a cat.
I definitely feel conflicted about loving Milo and Otis as we talk about it, but I still keep it up at 4.5 stars.
I'm just holding steady.
The nostalgia is too strong. The narration's too good. The music's too good. The shots are too good. It's can't help it. And yeah, Homeward Bound also fun time. Interesting fact, the director Dwayne Dunham was the editor for Wild at Heart, the David Lynch film.
The
Oh,
editor for what?
Wild at Heart and Blue Velvet.
oh man.
Those movies. He also edited Return of the Jedi.
No, I mean which of these movies did he do?
All of them.
He directed Homeward Bound,
Oh,
but
okay.
he's also did a lot of editing for great movies for David Lynch.
Man,
A weird career.
it's so crazy that you say that because now that you're saying that during the David Lynch retrospective that I went to a few years ago at Music Box, when they showed Wild at Heart, they brought him out. He came
Whoa.
and did a live interview.
You saw Dwayne Dunham, the director of Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey?
I did. I saw him give a speech about him editing Wild at Heart, how they didn't have like a full edit of it up until like the moment they got to Cannes. Like they hadn't watched the movie until they got to Cannes and played it like as a preview right before, like just to see if it worked. That was like the first time they watched the full cut, and then the second time they played it was at Cannes, and then it won the festival.
Wow.
In 1992, which must have been the year right before he started Homeward Bound, which is amazing. That's so crazy. That all just connected with me in my head. I'm like, oh my God, I've seen this guy.
Yeah, it's just a testament to how weird movie careers can be.
Yeah. Okay. So my final thoughts in terms of Homeward Bound, I think it's an all-time classic. I absolutely love it. I only dock it a half a point too, because I feel like there's some moments in there that are like a little too emotional, a little too anxiety stirring, where you're just really feeling for these animals and hoping that they make it out alive. Especially watching it with somebody today who had never seen it before, who is an adult in their 40s with an animal. Like the whole time she was like holding her dog, like, no, please don't run away. It is kind of you almost want to give a trigger warning to people that's like, this movie's can be pretty intense.
Yeah, that's why Anna Ray tapped out. She's like, I ain't doing that shit.
She knew what she was getting into.
Jasmine too. We asked Jasmine to be on this podcast, and she was like, I don't do animals in distress.
Yeah, animals in peril. No,
Yeah.
thanks.
So, but yeah, breaking down some of the things about the movie, I do think that Shadow is loyal to a fault. I think that, maybe his loyalty goes a little too far. Almost killed his friend Sassy.
His faith and his trueness is not a diminishing factor, but the loyalty.
Yeah. He did not need to leave. He was wrong to start this journey. You should have, like you said, Zach, you should have stayed put. But I do love Chance. Michael J. Fox does such a great job with the comedy relief. I love some of those scenes where they're in the woods and Shadow's like, it's a moose. Chance is like, what's a moose? Or like, he's like, you're a genius, Chance. He's like, what's a genius? Like that stuff is kind of fun. And the one moment that's I totally forgot about this, but when Sassy returns to them, which is kind of funny because the guy just like lets her go. He like nurses her back to health, and he's like, off you go back to the woods. He's like, stay away from the river. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Hang on to the cat as a stray cat. But when Sassy like finds the two dogs and she's like, my boys, like that's a really emotional scene too. It's very it's almost like a foreshadow to how the movie's gonna end.
And it's like, how the hell did they find each other?
Yeah.
Like the amount of ground that must have like been put between them while she was recuperating, and they weren't even sniffing her out, so she must have just been using her cat senses to try and, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. There's multiple times where Milo and Otis get separated and reconnect, and it's just movie magic.
Mm-hmm.
I do love some movie magic.
Yeah. And yeah, another thing on this watch that surprised me was how it you think it's going to end and then the journey continues. It's like another 30 minutes of them escaping the dog kennel and then them having to be found again and then Shadow falls in the hole. It's like, it's like it's really gets you at the edge of your seat. And just going back to the climax, it just cannot be emphasized enough how beautifully framed that final shot is. Just where you have the ridge and the animals coming up one at a time to their individual like owners, the children, and then Shadow coming up at the very end. It's just such a tearjerker. I mean, just
Play the clip.
amazingly.
I think one of the things that you just made me think about that as I was watching it, I was like, save this for the pod, is I think one of the reasons why this movie, Homeward Bound specifically, is so emotional is that when Shadow comes back, in your mind, he's already dead. Like you saw how far down, they put you in the place where, that everyone who's had a pet has like had to put their dog down or their cat down, or, they got hit by a car or something. And so you're right back there with your own personal attachment to your own dog. And then when you see Shadow come back, it's like, oh my God, this is what it'd be like if I could see my dog again and we could be together. And that's why it's like Shadow's like all of the old dogs combined, and it's such a catharsis.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. It's so true. Yeah, because you're just like, we lost him. He hurt his leg. He can't get up that hole. Chance can't get him up that hole. And then when you see Chance, like, okay, well, he got out. And Sassy didn't fall in the hole. So, and then Peter's like, he's too old. He probably died. It's too far.
Yeah.
And then he comes up over that ridge and you just lose it.
It gives you that, like, the fantasy that everyone has of when you die that you get to see your pets again and just like embrace. And also, it's just a surprising for both. I imagine these are both PG, but they both get surprisingly, dire in their own ways, and just kind of real. The way that Milo and Otis confronts, like Zach was saying, aging and like the next generation, and like even though you feel like, I can relate to at least Milo and Otis, and probably most parents, where it's like no matter how old you are when you do it, you're like, wait, I'm still a kid. Like Milo and Otis seem like kids, and they're having kids, and they're like, whoa, okay. But now our kids can hang out with each other, and there's this whole nother layer to it. And then with the whole mortality thing, with that pit is like so there's PTSD. I think any kid that's watched this movie, like no one wants to see that scene. It's fucked up. Just like, it seems so hopeless.
Yeah.
But that's when you get that payoff. That's why the fucking Hollywood, baby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that reminded me of the scene in Milo and Otis when Otis's wife has the kids and he's doing the mad dashes outside of the cave, and he's like, "It's a boy, it's a boy." him like so happily just like running out of the cave and going back into the cave.
Just yipping.
Yeah. And you said that's what happened when Sailor was born. You did the same thing.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Just doing a mad dash. And I love when the female pug's like, and the last one is Suzette.
Oh yeah.
The French pug.
This again, Dudley Moore fucking slam dunking it.
Perfect line delivery.
Male or female.
Well, that was the one thing. I don't want to end on a down note, but with Milo and Otis, I do not like Dudley Moore. I'm sorry, guys. I think he's kind of annoying.
Holy shit.
It's just hard for me to hear his voice for the entire movie. It's a little rough. And I liked what's his name? I liked Rex Allen as the narrator in Incredible Journey a lot more. He's just a little more wholesome and a little more yuck. I don't know, like, but I don't know. Maybe that's just my hatred of the British.
How did
Could
you
be.
get through Holy Grail?
Barely. But
I'm French.
I don't hate anybody. But but I think Milo and Otis is like a very good proto children's nature film. You know, if you, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of this kind of stuff that's on Disney Plus or Nick Kids, or, you know, it's like, it feels like kind of like typical family animal based documentary stuff for kids now. Like it's kind of like that goofy, clownish music with like one narrator who's kind of narrating and anthropomorphizing all of the pets. And but obviously Milo and Otis was a lot more extreme of a shoot. And I loved that introduction you read, Zach, because it does put some context into was his name Hata, who made
Hata.
this? Yeah,
Yeah.
he seems like he really put his heart and soul into that movie, and I think it shows.
That's actually just an excerpt from his legal statement to protect his ass.
Anyways, it wasn't my idea. Bye.
I just really love animals.
And I guess to end it, I wanted to play this weird like Finnish song that's in the middle of Incredible Journey. It's like a fun, almost reminded me of Sound of Music.
Play music for not from the two movies we talked about, some random ass movie.
No, it all relates. That you played the Chatran songs.
That's true.
Good night, Mama.
Sleep well. You too.
Papa, one little song for my cat.
Ol kaunis kesä ilta,
His voice is so much deeper than I thought it'd be.
Ol kaunis kesä ilta, kun laksossa kävelin, se tunteni ja heltyi syömäni. Se tunteni ja heltyi syömäni.
Insanely deep voice.
Sing that to my cats every night.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
It's giving some Edelweiss vibes.
Right? That's what I
Plummer.
thought. Yeah.
But yeah, good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to episode 1 of our animal double creature feature double dog dare.
2 for the price of 1,
Two
half
for the
off.
price of one, half off. If you want, you get more bang for your buck with this.
Next month, we'll cover 2 animal documentaries, Gates of Heaven and Grizzly Man.
And you know where to see us. You know we love the movies.
And we love our family.
Thanks for coming back, Caleb.
Always. Good to be here.
Great episode. See you next time.
See you next time.
Oh yeah. Yo.